We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hello, this is Tika Lark-Fleming, and this is the Blk Grrrl Show for November 6th. We're going to have a great show today. We have Scribe Anu and Turner Lange, so I'm so happy to be here. Other than that bloodbath, that happened on the election on Tuesday. That was interesting. Republicans took the Senate, the House, the governorship. Well, we'll talk about that later. But first, we're going to do Breaking the Table. And Breaking the Table today is about single mothers and other BS. While many people take the view that women who have children without being married tend to be poor, which means those women should be married, I take a different view. Women who aren't married, who have children, should be paid a fair wage and have institutional support so that being a woman doesn't doom you and your child to poverty. Pregnancy is not a disease. It's a natural function that over 80% of adult women in the U.S. at some point go through. Our society should make plans for this natural biological function. The problem with single mother issue isn't the single part. It's the mom is a woman part. Marriage isn't a business transaction. At least it's not supposed to be. We in the U.S. pride our country as a country where you have a choice. Women should have a choice whether they want to get married or not. Marriage rates in many developed countries are going down, yet poverty rates for children aren't going up. The reason being is the rest of the world has figured out that oppressing women oppresses children. Children that grow up oppressed and poor, regardless of gender, have a challenging time being productive members of society. You want to save poor black boys in the inner city? Save their mothers first. Support women and support children. Equal pay, universal child care, regardless of income, family leave in a society that doesn't view sex outside of marriage as icky. It's all part of that. If marriage was the answer to cure child poverty, then Sweden, which has some of the lowest marriage rates in the developed world, should have the highest child poverty rates, and the U.S., which has some of the highest marriage rates in the developed world, should have some of the lowest child poverty rates. But the reality is, the opposite is true. Sweden has a poverty rate of 7%, and the U.S. has a child poverty rate of 22%. In 2009, according to the CDC, unmarried children births were 66% in Sweden. In the U.S., unmarried childbirths were 41%. And this back in the day ridiculousness in regards to black people, that's just stupid. My great-grandmother had 12 kids by 3 different fathers, and I'm going to bet that she wasn't that unusual. Black women in the U.S. have always had higher than average unmarried childbirths. Black children in the U.S. have always been disproportionately poor. Never married women poverty rates in the U.S. is 21%. Married women poverty rate is 6%. You compare women without children. This is women without children. The poverty rate for unmarried women is 18%. And the poverty rate for married women without children is 4%. That smells like sexism to me. Now, the idea if we could all just get women married, the poverty would magically disappear. There is no need to address a pink-collar ghetto which forces women to have more education than a man for less pay. This pay gap is even more pronounced in the working class purple-collar ghetto where a man with a high school diploma can make more than a woman with an AA degree. I do not believe the answer to childhood poverty is more people getting married and God. I don't believe childhood poverty is about values, at least not puritanical ones, and paint scarlet letters on women for having sex. I believe the answer for childhood poverty is stopping systematic institutional oppression in all forms. I believe the answer in ending childhood poverty is more feminist, family, labor, and urban planning policies and the passage of the ERA. I believe the answer is a class and racially balanced feminist curriculum in K-12 and in universities so that all society is on the same page in regards to the fact that women are as valuable as men. Poverty is caused by policies that aren't just sexist, but downright misogynist and antagonistic towards women and their children. Until working class women of all races are released from the economic, burdens, the U.S. will continue to have the second highest child poverty rates in the developed world. And that was Breaking the Table. So we're going to have a little break, and when we come back, we're going to speak to Scribe Anu. So hello, we are back with the Blk Grrrl Show, and I just want to talk a little bit about the election for a second before we go talk to Scribe Anu. The election was, a lot of people were not happy with the results, but as I said in my commentary last week, the reason why you vote is not just because of, oh, this person wins. The reason why you vote is to let them know that you are paying attention. And after this election, I hope the thing that you all remember is to continue to pay attention. Continue to watch your politicians regardless of who won. Or, you know, whether you're in Florida, I'm so sorry for you, or Maryland. Just continue to watch your politicians. They are accountable to you. So regardless of who wins, it doesn't matter because they're only representatives. They're not God. They're not, you know, they're not the monarchy. All right? So, you know, cheer up, people. All right. So now I'm so happy to have Scribe Anu. She is a filmmaker and a publisher. And we're going to let her talk about herself when I get her on camera here. So how are you doing, Scribe?
I'm doing well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh, I'm glad to have you here. And let's get close up to the mic so we can make sure that we hear you.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there you go. I can hear you now. All right. So are you an LA native or?
Yes, born and raised here.
Oh, okay. Well, I have so many Los Angeles people on here. What neighborhood are you from?
Primarily, I grew up around 65th and Van Ness, so inner city.
Okay.
You know, around Florence, Manchester, Slauson area, off of Crenshaw type of
Everybody
deal.
who's black is from off of Crenshaw.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you have it.
If you grew up in LA, that's kind of like the street. I always like, oh yeah, I lived off of Crenshaw too. Who doesn't live off of Crenshaw? That's kind of like, you know, our little neighborhood.
Right.
So before we get into the publishing and the really cool stuff, even though this is cool too, you're also a filmmaker, right, Scribe?
Right. I do avant-garde pieces. I've done a couple of narration pieces, but I'm more. I've been more interested in the avant-garde because of the fact that you can allow images to tell the story and allow sound to be the emotional driver to those images. So I think it cuts a lot more deeper when you have that type of interaction as opposed to something that is dialogue driven.
Okay, so it's like it has sound and kind of like sound poetry. Is that kind of similar to it, or
yes, it makes it more of an exhibition piece and a media exhibition piece. Okay. I would say.
And is there a place that we can? I mean, are your work going to be showing in a different place, or will it be showing? Like where would we be able to see some of your work?
I haven't exhibited. Well, I have a piece called Extinction.
Okay. That's
on my YouTube channel. But I haven't really, I've kind of been reworking my YouTube channel, so I've disabled a lot of the pieces that I put up there. Okay. Because my focus has now been more on the storytelling as far as with comics.
Oh, okay. I'm always trying to recruit people. I'm like, oh, I could have a screen. We could have a screening at CLO Studios. No, I was kidding. I'm sorry. Let me like focus. Let me go back to it. Okay, so you do filmmaking, but you have decided. Well, you're in publishing.
Yes.
You have a publishing company called Earth Realm Comics.
Yes.
Okay, what does Earth Realm Comics stand for?
Basically, Earth Realm Comics is the best way to break that down would be the realm of matter.
Okay.
The realm of manifestation. So since this is the realm of matter and basically, since the comics we've been writing have been pulling concepts and making things materialized, Earthrealm was a bit befitting for where we are and the manifestation of taking art and materializing it for people to see.
Oh, that's cool, because that's going to also kind of go to the next question. I'm kind of like, okay, you're printing. They're printed comics.
Yes, we have prints, but right now what we're really focusing on is where the direction of comics have been going.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to print, you're dealing with like hardcore collectors, that, have their, old Marvel, old DC, and they keep these things in their boxes and in their sleeves. But at the same time, we've hit a very digital age. So you have people running around with their tablets and da-da-da-da-da. And since collectors don't really pull out their comics for reading because they're trying to preserve them, they have digital versions of them that they download onto their tablets and they archive and they read through. So that's kind of like seeing how the market has changed. That's the phenomenon we're kind of working towards. And then also a company called Madefire made available a motion book tool. So now you have interactive reading.
Oh, what? Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I gotta look this up.
Yes, yes. So now you have not just page turners, but you have animation and sound effects and sound score going with your reading. So it makes the experience very interactive.
Well, that to me makes sense, because you have these digital. It's like it's digital, but we're not utilizing digital the way we should. Like, why are we doing the same thing in digital world that we were doing on print when we can do so much more with it? So you're like trying to like push that boundary.
Right. I'm trying to stay ahead, with the game as opposed to following behind. So since this tool has just been made available this year in February, so it's like since they've made it available, it's like being at the forefront.
Okay.
And everybody is like, oh my God, motion, 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 with this interactivity as far as their reading. And even I've checked out a couple of, writings from Clive Barker. I mean, you're having some bigwig storytellers who are jumping on this now, because now you have this visual representation to what your writings are, so it just makes the experience so much real. And even I've gotten addicted. I'm like, oh my God, next issue. But
I mean, that's part of like storytelling. It's almost like you could take like the work that you publish other people, but you could take the work that you've done. Do you also do writing with the? You always so yes. You have. What's the name of your comic?
Zod. Yes.
Okay.
Zod is that's my baby.
Okay.
I actually it was a feature script that I actually wrote since I've had this script since early 2000.
Okay.
And have been sitting on it, and it was meant to be an animation script.
Okay. Because
it was like how visually, to tell this story, a lot of the places are not in existence. It goes into ancient civilization, so dealing with the ancient civilization of Nubia, so the Kushite Empire.
Okay.
So to better tell, it would be, animation just unlocks the limitations of real world locations.
Okay.
So, but then I started, being back interested, because comic books were always my love.
Okay.
So when I was having the stuff storyboarded, it was looking like a comic book. So then I just took that full feature script and started excerpting issues from it.
Okay.
So that's where we are now with this. So I've taken this script, which felt like I was trying to cram too much information anyway, and now I've broken it down into issues.
So now it's like but it's weird. You can use that technical skill, not technical, but that skill, that artfulness in regards to filmmaking, and kind of put that into comics.
Yes.
And then now with the whole digital age, so it's kind of like, even though people thought, oh well, it's it's going away. It's kind of not going away. It's just evolving.
Right.
It's just evolving. But you're still having but you're still going to do the print, though, the print version. You're still having the print. I mean, and is that for the collector's sake?
Yes, and also just for reading's sake, because there's still a feel to when you actually hold a book and
like
turn the pages.
Realm, yeah,
it's just having a physical book is just, I will always love books.
Yes.
So I will always make print available for, just readers to have.
No, that's an important thing, because I actually went to the Getty. Mm-hmm. And we were asking the Getty, the Research Institute, Getty Research Institute, how are you guys working with pictures in regards to the digital? Do you guys collect digital stuff? And they were like, no, we still just do the print.
Right.
So I'm wondering, what are collectors going to do when everything moves from print to digital? Because at some point that's going to happen. It's kind of like when people moved from writing by hand, like with ink,
right.
At some point it's going to happen. So what are you going to do when you need to collect all these, archive these things? How are they going to start archiving these? Or are we going to have to all decide, like, okay, we're not going to change anymore. We're going to do this one archive thing, and then, because I just, every year it's new technology.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, I'm like going off off a tangent, but I'm kind of like in my head. So I mean, so the publishing part is still, the publishing part is still like a very important part of it, because of the collectors and because of just Comic-Con and all. I mean, have you gone to a lot of these festivals like Comic-Con and stuff like that?
Yes. This year I went to WonderCon. Comic-Con was just booked up.
Yeah.
So everybody who couldn't make it to Comic-Con went to WonderCon, which was still very packed.
Okay.
And it's a social experience to be able to walk around and, thumb through the comics, because I picked up a few titles while I was there too. So it's still very prevalent, just the culture, because now you also have people who like to dress up, and all of this. So but we'll be hitting a lot more and setting up our booths and stuff like that at these conventions for comics.
Did you happen to go to Kamikaze, or did you go there, or no?
No.
Okay. I went to Hello Kitty Con.
Hello Kitty Con.
I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, I went to Hello Kitty Con, and it was amazing. It was 25,000. I met people from Texas and South Carolina. I'm like, I don't know if I would have done all that, but I mean, it was down the street from my house. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to Comic-Con. Me going to Hello Kitty Con was totally reasonable.
Right.
People from South Carolina, I don't know. But I don't know, Hello Kitty is a great thing. Just kind of throwing that out there. But you publish other people too.
Yes.
Which is like a rare thing.
Yes. I mean, not really.
Yeah.
Because when you look at a lot of the independents like Dark Horse or Image Comics or Top Cow, a lot of their inventory is built off of independent writers and other comic books that they've brought in and are distributing.
Yes.
Because they couldn't put out all of that material, and it's like walking into a store and you only got 2 items on the shelf.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't look legit.
Right.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like a poetry fiction world where we're like, oh, I have a publishing company and we publish our book.
Right.
I forgot. The comic world works different. You guys work as a team. I want people from the other art worlds to kind of look at comics and like see how they work. See how they work as a team. That helps.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And and not only that, we're looking for other other artists, and other writers. Because you might not have a complete comic book submission, but you may be an illustrator or a storyteller, and being able to put those 2 elements together. And work that off. I mean, that's how I was able to run across my partner.
Okay.
I'm a writer, and he was able to take my descriptive writing and illustrate it beyond what I even envisioned.
Yeah.
So to actually see words translated into imagery was like, oh, wow. That's what that looks like.
Yeah.
So, I love the fact that we're able to, work as a team and bring other talent and other artists and see how their mind works. I like to see how the artist interprets the writing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And what's your illustrator's name?
O.C. Craig.
O.C. Craig?
Yes.
Okay. Was he from LA? Is he from Orange County?
No, he's from Philadelphia.
Oh, he's from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
All these Philadelphia connections, all these Philadelphia people. They're in LA. They must have moved here. Like, I don't know when they got over here, but I've met, it's like the sixth person I met from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Or I've heard of. I haven't actually met O.C. Craig yet. So, are most of the people who write with you, are they illustrator, writer combinations, or people doing both? They're writing and doing illustration. I mean, I think they're always two different people.
Not always. Like, he's a writer, illustrator.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, before I even knew he was an illustrator, I met him on the writing tip because he was writing with another mutual friend of ours on a novel called Dark Phantom. And I was like, wow, great writer. I always, am amped by another writer. Whoa, so. And then one day he just pulled out these illustrations. I'm like, wait a minute. You draw?
You draw too? This is an amazing person.
Right. And he's just so casual and just so nonchalant. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I need to talk to you. So, and that's been a match made in heaven. And I've been knowing him for like 7 years now.
Okay, so you guys have been working together for 7 years doing this. So you have this. So you're publishing. How many times do you publish a month? I'm not much. A year. I'm gonna say a month.
Well, actually, we've been holding off. I've done some editing with his stuff that he's finished the 6th issue on. Okay. And we're actually going to be premiering our stuff.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to be premiering, and for Zod, I've sat on it so long. It went from animation to comic to motion to in between. It's like, now that this tool is open, this is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
So I'm producing Zod for the motion book genre to release on tablets. You can download it and buy it at the Apple Store, buy it at Google Play. It's just so simple.
But I have a question in regards to the diversity of the writers in the comic world. A lot of times when I go to the comic world, it seems heavily male. Is it getting more diverse in regards to other women? Are there people of color that, I've heard people kind of say there are not that many black people, or, is this, even though I know a lot of black people in comics, but I know that maybe that's because I just happen to know, that's just my crew that I hang out in. But when you go to these other conventions and stuff,
it's a rarity.
Yeah. Especially you're a woman, so you're and you're not the girlfriend.
Right.
I've seen black women there, but they're not the girlfriend. Usually the girlfriend.
Right. The accompaniment.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when I went to WonderCon, there were a few black people there, but they were more so indulging in the dress up and more so the consumer. But as far as artwork or individual distributing comic, I have not seen a female yet.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of black males, but black female, no, I haven't.
I haven't seen you. I've seen you. That's about it. That's why I was like, what? No, I was talking to my friend Zoe, and she was like, oh, she's a woman and she has a comic and what? I talk to her tomorrow. Give me her number. So I tracked you down. Facebook is useful. People say Facebook is not useful. It's not true. It's true. I found you on Facebook.
Yes, you did.
Have you? Are there any things how do you think that we can make that field more open and more diverse?
By being more open and diverse. It's like I find myself in the same position I was when I was in my 20s. In my 20s, I started my career in audio.
Okay.
So I went and became a runner at a major studio and worked my way up and did audio recording, and it was the same thing then. A couple of black males are like, wow, sister, we're doing audio, to the point where, the studio owner, he was like, you can't work anywhere else. So I'm moonlighting all over the place.
Yeah.
But it was because I was a commodity.
Yeah.
He wanted to be the studio owner that had the black girl that was actually engineering there, and then since they were doing a lot of black music.
Okay.
So now here at the forefront doing comic books, it's like, once again, not too many black females out there. And I think, some of that has to do with, not even conceiving to just be open to that. The limitations we kind of set on ourselves as far as what is appropriate that we do and what is not, as opposed to just, I want to do this, I'm going to do it, and just being free.
Well, even just like, I kind of, a lot of people are kind of like, oh, I want to get they want to get their movie made, they want to get whatever made. I'm like, there's so many venues. There's like, now there's comics, the digital, the Mindfire that you talked about. There's plays. There's so many ways for you to get your message out. You don't have to be dependent on the machine to help you create and help you do your art and all that stuff. But I think also just kind of like showing like, oh, look, Scribe, she's a woman, she's doing, and I think that kind of might inspire people. And I'm sure that you're going to inspire people because you're also opening up a comic book store.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, I'm opening it up. It's going to be in Highland Park. Wow. And just the fact that one, it's considered hipster. Yeah. Whatever that terminology is, but there's no comic book store there, and I was like, but yet you have this culture that's open to that. So I was like, well, this would be perfect.
Yeah.
So found a space and said, I'm just going to do that. But along with that, opening the store, I'm also paying attention to how things are moving, like all of the art walks, all of the conventions, all of the farmers markets. So it's like, I'm not going to just limit to just being at a one location where I'm just hoping that, people blow by. Oh, there's an event. Well, maybe people will come by. I want to also be able to be mobile and follow the people. Where are you going? Well, I want to be there too. So, with that, the storefront, also wanting to have the opportunity for independent comic artists to be able to have a storefront to be able to sell their works. Because a lot of times the discouragement, if you want to look at black people, there's a lot of discouragement because they look to try to get with Marvel or try to get with DC or all the majors, and then they're kind of left aside, and then they get, sucked into life, and then they're deterred from their dream, and they just kind of let it sit on the shelf, and, their vision never comes to pass.
Well, Scribe, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to come right back, and we're going to talk a little bit more about your comic book store and your vision and your dream and all that stuff.
Okay.
So, this is LA Talk Live, the Blk Grrrl Show, and I will see you in a minute. All right?
Now no one knows where the spirit goes when life has gone away. This I know now that my body lies here in the grave. It's a long road home back to the light. Darkness on my left and right. I lost my way. I lost my way. As the blackbird flies the darker sky, so I must travel on. Sojourn of the undead walking on to Babylon. I've roamed from home back alone. Clouds gather where I stand. Some can see my footprints as I cross the desert sand. It's a long road home back to the light.
Thank you for tuning into LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, crafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Blk Grrrl, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hello world, how you living? This is D-Brex, your host of the all-new rap project here on LA Talk Live. That's latalklive.com. Or you can find me on iTunes Radio in the R&B section. That's the Rap Project, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. West Coast time, so don't be late. On the Rap Project, I will be playing the very best of rap and hip-hop that goes beyond the ordinary. So connect with me, your host, D-Brax, the rap connoisseur, on the Rap Project every Wednesday at 7, right here on latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk.
I should have stayed at Margie's where the people are friendly, where the music is warm and the beer is cold.
Hello, we're back with the Blk Grrrl Show on LA Talk Live. Also, you can catch us on iTunes R&B, Radio 365, and the latalk.com website. Before we go back and finish our conversation with Scribe, I want to have a few announcements. Our friend Ray Shaw's movie, The Repass, is in its funding stage, and she has an Indiegogo going on. So please, you can actually contact me, and I can forward you the information to how to get to her Indiegogo site so you can give money. She's trying to raise $35,000, and I'm pretty sure it can happen because we're in Los Angeles, and everybody has plenty of money. All right, and on November 8th at Cielo Studios, we have Carlos Ananda. He is having a show called Stolen Biographies, where he has some really nice photography of people on Los Angeles Skid Row and kind of doing a commentary. He's out here from Mexico City at Cielo Studios. So that's all for our announcements today. Oh, also, too, remember to pay attention to whoever won and continue to be active in politics. Don't let your voting be the end of your activity in our political process, because that's only one small, tiny part. All right, so now we're back with Scribe. She's back on air. So you have this, I'm calling it a gallery now. Now I'm like trying to call you to have a gallery. But I mean, it's going to have to be more. It's going to be more than just a bookstore, because, like you say, you're trying to have a space for Black people and for people to have their work, because that's
Right.
really challenging.
Right, definitely. So, it's going to have comic books are the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
We are a comic book store, but also the illustrative works. Being able to display those and having those up there. And another thing that we'll also be having there is gaming, because that's something else we're developing. We're working on while we're doing this and getting that out, then we'll be distributing that and then working on our first app. So programming and working on that as well.
So you're going to be doing games and apps and creating all that?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I'm going to talk to you. I need a game. I need a Tika Lark game. No, but will you guys be doing that? I mean, will you be teaching lessons on how to do that? Or will you just be providing a space? I guess I'm very confused. I'm excited and confused. So, how's that going to work?
We're going to be developing it and putting it out for sale. We haven't thought about any classes, but That's an avenue.
Yeah, exactly.
That's definitely an avenue to get more people up on, technology and being able to develop stuff like that. Because, like I said, a lot of the premise as to why we haven't expanded is not understanding or not knowing what is available and the limitations and things seeming so, beyond what we can see when actually it's not. So, but in the spirit of me and my partner, we just love interactive storytelling, and gaming is one of those ways. So,
have you played World of Warcraft?
No, I haven't played World of Warcraft. I'm more of the storyteller than I am the interactive player. How we work it out is, I let my partner, tell me what games are up.
Yeah.
And we have our gaming sessions, whereas I'm like, oh, wow, that's an very deep storyline. I want to see how that interplays and how do you interact with a storyline like that. So he will play a game from beginning to end, and I will just sit there and watch just to see how the storyline plays out.
Well, the reason I brought up WoW is because WoW is super racist. I mean, if you ever interacted and you played these kind of like these interactive type games, WoW, they have this thing called this chat, and in the chat they say all kinds of. I mean, I've seen so many racist things. I mean, and it's specifically towards Black people. Like we're like their favorite group. I mean, if anybody else, they more so. I mean, in that world, like, well, you have Gamergate. That world is especially sexist, especially racist. Not all the time, but no, actually, it is a lot.
Right. Right.
I mean, and how do you kind of combat that? Because you're kind of like, you're two of the things that a lot of those people don't like. But I mean, like I said, I'm involved in it because I play WoW. But what can you mean? What do you think we can do in order to? I mean, other than create our own space.
Right. I think a lot of it is through how we what's the best word? How we exhibit ourselves. We like, for instance, let's take Hollywood. I look at the limitations as far as the storytelling, as far as where we write. We stay within a small genre. And we stay within these confines. And I think a lot of, perception is media driven. So if we take more power as far as with the stories we tell, I'm like, why haven't we, our history didn't start with slavery, so why do we stay stuck in this period of time? Why aren't this exception, all of these other, ruling things, just taking power and responsibility with the media and the tools and the resources that we have available to paint our own pictures, to tell our own stories, and to how we, put our images out there, as opposed to allowing other people to tell our stories, and we'd be us falling victim to that, going to these multimedia online players and being subjected to that.
Why am I playing this game? That's why you have to make a game for me so I can stop playing. Right.
That's the thing. We have to create our own reality, as opposed to trying to, please let me in, fine. Okay. I won't be a part of your space. I create my own. So we take, the resources are available. And so if more of us, with all of this talent that we have out there, take advantage of that, then I feel we'll have more power in that area.
No, that is true. I think that's one thing that's kind of like amazing about you, because you're doing the publishing and you're doing you're going to open up a space to have people to have their stuff, so that now you're doing the game and the apps, so that's going to actually open up an avenue and kind of like empower us in regards to so these spaces are they're actively Black spaces, and you're kind of like going, the Earthrealm Comics is a Black comic book company,
right?
Okay, so
right. So and with that, wanting to generate jobs, because I've seen too many of artists that I've interacted with, or, like I've said before, just fall by the wayside and just kind of abandon their dreams and just kind of become bitter individuals because they didn't become what they were actually, gifted and talented to be. So it's like, but I've always wanted to create a business that will be able to, give work to these artists.
Mm-hmm.
So they can sustain themselves off of the artwork and what they were given, the talents that they were given to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, because that's I think that's one of the problems that we have. It's like we don't have. Number one, we need to, all of us artists, we need to network with each other so that we can work together, so that we can help each other make, economically be successful.
Right.
We work together. Like, you have a company. Oh, well, I'm going to come in. I'm going to put. But instead of going, oh, look, Scribe has a comic book company. I think I'm going to start a competitive one that does the exact same thing.
Right.
How about, let's all pool our money in together, and we can all work together and do that. I mean, I kind of going back to the comic books, because I always kind of go back to feminism in a way, but do you have any like feminist comics out yet?
Well, feminist. Well, the main character in my comic is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's, I guess you could say it's feminist in the sense that it as opposed to the female being a supporting actor or a supporting character, being the main character.
Mm-hmm.
It goes into I got stuck. No. Zod deals and on a level of, long story short, I have this primal immortal God who is the daughter of knowledge, decides to descend down to earth because she wants to evolve her knowledge into wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
She was advised not to because the tree that she was being born through had gone unattended. So the sour had become soil and she became tainted.
Mm-mm.
Being that, now she's wreaking havoc on earth.
Okay.
So they had to create a new deity to be able to deal with her. And the new deity was placed into the womb of Queen Annika during the night of her labor. And so she ended up giving birth to fraternal twins. One male and one female.
Okay.
And the female, Asar, happens to be the immortal. So, the story kind of revolves around her eventually, going to bats with the daughter of knowledge who'd become tainted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
So the daughter of knowledge became tainted. What does that symbolize? Does that symbolize something? I know it does, but I was just asking what it is. Maybe I had to read it to figure it out.
Meaning, as far as,
I'm always trying to see if it's something as some kind of a slam against capitalism. I don't know.
No. It delves more into a spiritual realm.
Okay.
And it deals more, I wrote it in the sense of, I like to look at our own accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So in dealing with deities that have materialized on earth within our culture, and how, the power that we do have, as opposed to being victims of, or constantly being viewed as, needing to be rescued, or, at one point I was just like, please, not another slave movie,
Exactly.
How about, looking from things from a perspective that we do have power, and that there is accountability, and there is karma that we have to deal with. And then when you're dealing with women warriors, yes, there were women warriors. There were queenships. There wasn't always a patriarchal system. So that's what I kind of inbred in my writing with this story.
And also, it's like you have an Afrofuturism kind of a flavor to it. I mean, because I've been talking about Afrofuturism for a very long time. I had a panel on it last week. We had many guests that had Afrofuturism, so it's kind of like re-envisioning, kind of like Dr. Thomas's diasporic vertigo, where it's kind of like you're re-envisioning us in a, well, we do have power, but kind of like presenting it in a way that's an entertaining way that's kind of like Back to the Future. So it's like the future, no, sorry, it's the past, but it's the future.
Right. And it very much is, because the story transcends time through the bloodline and the lineage. Because the immortality is not some, how Superman is envisioned, where ching, 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 bullets is flying off of him, and, I'm immortal, Yeah. It's immortality through reincarnation, through the lives lived. So the story actually transcends through the bloodline and travels. It travels from, ancient Nubia to over here in the States, because it follows the slave trade and how that descendant actually was being taken over and actually embodies this deity, but, doesn't really recall or remember. So it's an ancient battle.
Wow. I mean, that just sounds, I'm really excited. So when is this coming out?
Well, I'm working on the build for it, and that's the technical term for breaking it down into layers to be put into the motion book tool to make it interactive. So I'm looking at the beginning of, I'll say January.
January.
Yes.
Okay, January. Yeah, because we need to be able to see this, to see this book and see this, because that sounds really, really super fascinating in regards to, just because I've never really heard of a story necessarily like that. It's actually a really original story. And I don't really know how that would have been made to a film.
Well, actually, you know what? Because I told you I was going to bring some of the artwork.
Yeah. Let me see here.
There you go.
Okay, we can put it right here so they can see.
Oh, I don't know where they're looking to see. Okay.
Okay, so just
all right.
You could take one of them out. Yeah, I forgot. I want to put your your other work
right.
Your other work on blast. All right.
Okay.
Okay, and what character is this?
That is Kunum.
Okay.
The divine creator.
Okay.
So he was conjured during the time that Tyrus was on Earth wreaking havoc. Imagine the cause of, all this trial and tribulation creating this point in space that conjured forth and called forth this deity. His whole purpose, or its whole purpose, is just for the purpose of creation. This is the statue that he forged and placed into Queen Annika's womb.
Oh, this
when
statue
creating,
right here.
right. So
okay.
He created that deity from, the celestial dust that's out in the great void, and placed it.
No, I actually read. I had this. There's this book. It's called Dirt, and it's a documentary called Dirt, and in the book Dirt, they said everything on Earth is from stardust.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's absolutely true. Queen Annika, this is her birth.
Oh, look, and you can tell they're black too.
Now, you know what? And I wanted to. That was another thing that when I had my illustrator, when I was making it descriptive, you make it prominent.
Yes.
Because a lot of that in Hollywood too. Actors or people shown. They just, I don't know whether they're running away from dark skin. I
think that's really important because, because they keep saying, well, it doesn't matter. Well, if it doesn't matter, then why don't you ever see anybody who's dark? Why don't you ever see a dark black person? Why is it everybody you kind of go, well, I'm not really sure. I mean, we know what black people look like. Why are we even playing this game like we don't know what black people look like?
Right, and especially in that region. And, growing up, it's a shame that for a long time as a kid, I thought Cleopatra was white because Elizabeth Taylor played her.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm like, wait a minute. As I got older. So,
Well, it's about what you see. And that's why, in a way, like, for me, I kind of was not part of the whole movie. You know, I was very into the whole books and poetry and, just bizarre type stuff. So I was like, oh, I'm not part of that, plays, all that stuff, And but then I realized it's important for me to even be involved in pop culture, Hollywood, and because other people see that. And like, who am I to I should be, showing we should all help people who can kind of see more, people who have a different way of seeing things. It's like it's like our responsibility to help other people see those things too. We can't just go, well, I see the truth.
Right.
To hell with the rest of you people. I don't care what, I mean, I feel like it's like our duty.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not, but I kind of feel that way. Maybe I'm kind of being a do-gooder in that way, but, I'm hoping to expand your mind.
Right. It's true, though. So, so our future generation isn't lost and without a clue. It doesn't make it, what's the purpose of having knowledge and then just sitting on it?
Exactly. So. If you're not inspiring if you're not inspiring the next generation, then what's the point of all this knowledge that you have? Just kind of like, you have this comic that you've done, or should it be called a graphic novel?
Graphic novels are larger. They're actual novels that are illustrated.
Okay.
I mean, it's considered a comic.
Okay.
Not in like goofy comic. So that's the best, graphic novel, comic book. It's mainly how many pages that makes it a novel, a graphic novel.
Well, I was talking. Well, Stan Lee. I was at Kamikaze. Hold on a second. I was at Kamikaze, and Stan Lee was talking about how comic book. It's 2 words. Comic book. It's not. No, maybe he said it was 1 word. I can't remember, but he said it's specific. Like, how do you do it? It's like the graphic novel thing. It's specific.
Right.
But I think it's really, I can already tell that, it's. I'm really interested in it, and just because I don't know how you're gonna make that move around and stuff. I mean, you're gonna have her giving birth like on the comic. Okay, that's cool. That's a natural process. What's that about my commentary? Having babies are natural. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah. So I gotta actually like live that. Okay. All right. So I'm interested in that. I mean, so are there any other books that are coming out?
The Exhumers. That's our other title, and I choose not to really get into the Exhumers because my partner is here and that's his baby, and I don't want to misrepresent how I'm explaining it. In a way it would be like, all right, OC, explain Exhumers.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Exhumers. That's another title we're
Is that about
out.
a dead person? Something about exhuming bodies from the dead or something?
Kind of, sort of. It's more so they messed up back in medieval time and brought hell on earth, and now you have a special band of people that have to deal with all the demon possession that's running around. You can't call the police now. You have to call the Exhumers.
Oh, okay. So it's like if Walking Dead had like cops. Well, I don't know. Maybe not exactly the same.
They got a little more swagger, more like Men in Black, I guess. But
that's actually kind of cool, though.
Right.
Okay.
So they're like born mages, and they have these specialized gifts, and now they go through this specialized training to deal with the issue of, hi, I have a demon in my cabinet. What do I do?
Okay. No, that sounds really cool. But, before we wrap it up, I want to make sure, where will this bookstore be?
It's at 5617 North Figueroa Street, and that's in Highland Park.
Okay. So, and when do you think that's going to be opening up?
That should be opening up December.
In December? So it's going to be a party, right?
Yes.
You're inviting me, right?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
All right. Make sure you invite me to the party. You can't get mad at me before then. I can't do anything stupid until at least that party. And I hope too that you're able to come to the Blk Grrrl Book Festival that we're having on
when
March.
is that?
It's going to be March 7th.
Okay.
It's going to be huge. We're going to invite everybody. You're going to be there because you're going to be there. It's going to be huge because you're going to be there.
It's going to be huge because everybody's going to be there.
Everybody's going to be there. You're going to be the sponsored bookstore. You're going to be there. But Is there anything else so I can, before we wrap it up, because I want to, share anything else?
Yeah, I just hope that we all continue to come together, network, build as artists, build as people, and constantly challenge those limitations and boundaries and push the limits.
That's right. Continue to push the limits, because that's kind of part of what makes art and part of what pushes the world further. I want to say, if you see on my video, I have a new logo. My new logo was designed by Blk Grrrl, Afro Puff, and it's beautiful. And I, thank you so much, Blk Grrrl, for my new awesome looking logo. I would like to also, there it is. I would like to also thank my friend Skyra Martinez, who helped host the Repass, the Blk Grrrl meetup, the Repass film screening at her studio, Cielo Studios. Thank you so much, Skyra. And wish Ray Shaw luck on her getting her film funded. We're sending good vibes to Ray Shaw. And I'd like to thank Scribe Anu for coming on the show. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Learning all about all your cool stuff, and Zod and the Earth Realm Comics, publishing company and comic book store. And I also like to thank Richard Carr, the engineer, who helps me out every Thursday. I very much appreciate you. So our show is the Blk Grrrl show is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I know people from all over the country are listening to this. And we also have Blk Grrrl Chat, which takes place every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Twitter. And we talk about different topics: politics, sexism, white supremacy, misogyny. We talk about, we're also talking about technology. So, we talk about light stuff too. We talk about technology this Wednesday. Thank you guys so much. Thank LA Talk Live. So catch us on LA Talk Live, iTunes, R&B, Radio 365. Let me look over here, because they have different things that we're on. Okay, that's it. That's her. All right. So that will be it for the Blk Grrrl show. Next week, we're going to have Natasha Leone from Dirty Laundry, and Mark Greenfield, who's an artist who has a show at California African American History Museum going on right now. So good night.
They say I'm different.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.